Hello and welcome to this walkthrough of the Virginia Tech transfer application, which you will complete through Common App. Let's get started. Best place to begin the application process is on our transfer application checklist. This is found at vt.edu/admissions/transfer/checklist. Very easy to track down right from our main admissions and transfer admissions page. Now, this has step-by-step instructions for helping you complete the application, so if you want to follow along with those, that can be a good idea too. You can see step-by-steps for completing your Common App, as well as the separate self-reported academic record, which is required to complete the application process for most applicants. But enough about that for now. We're going to be talking about the Common App. So you can click this nice maroon button to begin your Common App. It takes you to the Virginia Tech Common App landing page where you can select which application you want to complete. Now this is designed as a walkthrough for the transfer application, so we're going to make sure to click Apply for Transfer. You will set up the account by answering some basic questions, creating a password and those kind of things, and then it will get you right into the application. I've already done that, so I'm going to take us right to the Common App homepage. Once you've gone through the initial setup, this is what you'll see. So the Common App is designed around some common sections, these three quadrants here: personal information, academic history, supporting information, and program materials. Now the program materials section is what is specific to the individual college that you are applying to. So one of the first things we need to do is add that college that you want to apply to. I've already got a couple here, but you can see the interface here is very user-friendly. You can look up different colleges and the different terms that they may offer an application for, etc. Just for instance, our friends over at Duke are on here. You can complete a transfer application to Duke University. But we're going to be looking for Virginia Tech, of course. Now, you can find Virginia Tech by typing in either Virginia Tech, or sometimes you may have to type in Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, or Virginia Polytechnic, just to try to find us. You can see here we're easy to find just by putting in Virginia Tech. So you can see the different options here that are currently available. Now there are 4 open transfer applications as of the recording of this video, and those are the fall domestic and international applications and summer domestic international applications. So the main difference there is based on your citizenship status. All U.S. citizens or permanent residents will complete the domestic application, whereas if you have another citizenship status, you would complete the international application. Doesn't matter actually where you're studying, where you went to high school, where you're attending college. It's about that citizenship status. So I went ahead and added the fall domestic application, and that is the one I'm going to be walking us through today. So you add that, and it goes to your programs. We'll look at that here in a minute. Now we want to get started with completing the basic and common sections of the Common App. This is the information that's going to be imported to the different schools. If you add multiple programs, you're applying to multiple colleges, it will add all of this information into that college's application, so you only have to enter it once. So that's really awesome. It's kind of the best feature about Common App. So the first place to get started is on the personal information side. As you might expect, this is the basic information about you. Now, a way to navigate this interface, you can see here that there's these different boxes. I have mine checked off because I've entered information. You would not. You click on one, and then you can actually navigate it using this sidebar over here. You will go through and answer the basic questions that it's asking you. Biographic information about your name, birthday, all that kind of stuff, right? Save and continue to move on to each subsequent section, and you can click around in the different sections by doing this. So you are going to go through here and enter all of this information, telling us about you and your citizenship, race and ethnicity, military history if you've got it, other basic information, etc. And then there's a fee waiver section as well. So you can answer this, and you may qualify for an automatic fee waiver from Common App to any institution or many institutions that you want to apply to. Once you're done with everything, you can hit Save and Continue. And you can see here, you're done. You can go to the next section or go back to the main dashboard where we see those 4 quadrants. So once the personal information is completed, the next section is the academic history. So we go in here, same kind of thing. Basically, this is where you will outline your academic history and kind of any tests or scores or things like that that you have. Different schools will use this information in different ways, and some may use parts of this and not consider other parts, especially in the transfer process. And Virginia Tech is that way too, which we'll talk about. So you'll enter your basic high school information, high school diploma, equivalency if you have it, and that information. But you do not have to list detailed high school information like classes and grades or anything like that. Then you'll move on to the colleges attended section. Now this is where you'll tell us any college or university that you have attended and attempted coursework at. And this is something you want to make sure is done correctly. So you're able to add a college or university using this interface. You can form fill, type it in. So let's say University of California, right? Let's say, spell it right. There we go. You can see all the different options. So if you attended University of California, Berkeley, you could add that in here and answer some information about degree and timeline and those kind of things. Now, I've already added several schools here, so I have a couple, including there. So our local community college, New River, as well as University of California, Berkeley, where I did my graduate work. So as a test, added those in there. And you can see kind of different information listing your kind of dates of attendance. But this transcripts are required box is something I want to definitely mention. So this is designed to notate that certain schools may want transcripts for the colleges that you enter here. And it tells you specifically based on the programs you've added. So I've added Virginia Tech, and I've also added the University of Virginia as an example of schools that I'm applying to. Note that it says for the University of Virginia, you need official transcripts. That's part of their admissions process. For Virginia Tech, it doesn't say that specifically because we don't actually use transcripts in the admissions process for reviewing transfers. It says you got to view some additional program requirement information. You click on this and it tells you to go back to that transfer application checklist and talks about completing that separate self-reported academic record. As a reminder, that's over here. It tells you all about how to do that and what the expectation is. You will report your academic information to us rather than sending transcripts. And that applies to most applicants. There are a few exceptions that you can read about. So back on our Common App, we've got our colleges and universities added. Then we can go to this college coursework. Now, many universities are not going to require you to enter any college coursework here, including Virginia Tech. So again, we're asking for that in a separate place, that self-reported academic record, so you do not have to enter any college coursework. You may add a school, though, that wants it, and if so, then you're going to have to do it there, listing your coursework grades, whatever information that they request. Next is GPA screen, so you can edit and list your GPAs for the different colleges that you have attended. Very easy to do here. You just say if it was an undergraduate or graduate GPA, your total number of credit hours, and your cumulative GPA as reported on that transcript. You don't have to worry about this quality points. You don't have to do any math. It does the math for you, so you don't have to do anything there. And you can save and exit once you're done. Standardized tests can be added, but you can also opt not to add these. And standardized tests such as SAT and ACT are not reviewed in the Virginia Tech transfer process, so no need to worry about those. If you have additional tests, something like an IELTS or a TOEFL score that you want to include here, you can add those and save that score in this section. Or again, you can click that I'm not going to add any standardized tests. Continuing education courses, you don't have to add those too, but if for some reason that applies to you, you can add this information here for the school. Virginia Tech does not require this section to be completed. SAT subject tests, the same thing. We're not using those in the transfer review process at Virginia Tech, so no need to add them for us. And then you can add your advanced placement credit. Now, you're going to report this information to us in that separate self-reported academic record, so it is a bit redundant if you decide to do that here. But if you want to be fully exhaustive, you're welcome to fully report the AP scores that you have, IB scores, and CLEP credit as well. Some schools may want you to do that specifically here, but again, Virginia Tech is going to ask you to do that again elsewhere. So AP, IB, and CLEP, the college level examination program, all of those exam scores can be listed there. Then senior secondary leaving examination. So if that applies to you, you have those scores, you can certainly enter that information here, or you are able to skip that section as well. So once we got this done, we're done with the academics history section. Now I can move on to supporting information. So this is where you tell us a little bit more about you. What makes you who you are? The potentials for success that you exhibit based on your experiences, achievements, and those kind of things. You can also add additional documents and things of that nature. So this is where you're going to want to spend a little bit of time telling us a little bit about you, your experiences, and achievements, and those kind of things. This does take a little bit of time. Adding an experience will offer a lot of different boxes where you can tell us about it. Note that there are very few fields that are actually required in terms of that you have to enter information, but basically the start and the end date, kind of when you did this, if it was compensated or volunteer, and a brief description of the event. You don't have to, give us a full page on anything necessarily, but just so that we understand what you have done with your time. Now, for transfers, these types of experiences and achievements as well can all be things that kind of relate to any part of your journey. They don't have to be just from your college time. They can be from high school. They can be from your life journey. They can be family responsibilities and work. Those things are very important for us to know about and consider. So you want to add those and be pretty exhaustive when you're telling us about these things that you think are relevant for us to know and to consider as we review your application. So you can select achievements as well, the different honors, awards, publications, etc. Tell us about it and save each individual activity. So that'll take you a little bit of time, but we encourage you to do it. Next, you don't have to add any documents to the Virginia Tech application. We do not review most supporting documents, additional resumes, letters of recommendation, or anything like that in the review process. So most folks will not add anything here. And if you do, because another school wants it, Virginia Tech is unlikely to review that there. Okay, so finally, we've got the affirmation statements. You have to affirm several statements saying you read these and you agree that you're representing everything correctly. Sign it and then save and continue. So once we do that, we are done with the supporting information section. So we're booking it through the Common App, and now we just have the one quadrant left, the program material section, which as a reminder is specific to the college or university you're applying to. So again, I added 2 programs here, the University of Virginia and their application, as well as our Virginia Tech Fall Domestic Transfer application. So I'm going to click that. You'll see this interface with a couple of tabs. Tells you a little bit more about the university, our program, some resources that we have, including that transfer application checklist I keep mentioning. So you can see that and learn more ways to connect, kind of some basic information. But the questions themselves that you need to answer are here under the questions tab. You will go here and begin entering answers to those questions. This should match the term that you've selected as the only option, but you're able to select some more basic information about you, tell us a little bit about your journey, and if you're involved in different things, if you're part of different pre-college programs, or if you've received a separate fee waiver code. I talked about the automatic fee waiver process. If you've got a separate fee waiver code, you can enter that here. If you have questions about the fee and the fee waiver, you can feel free to get in touch with our office. This question is really important, so I want to highlight it specifically. It says, my studies at the college and university level include coursework attempted at an institution or institutions outside of the United States. That's very important because this defines, the answer to this question defines those next steps that you take. I mentioned that the majority of folks who apply will complete that separate self-reported academic record. And that's because the majority of folks will answer this question with no. And will report that information in the self-reported academic record, their academic history. Because the SRAR can't handle every type of curriculum all around the world, if you answer this question as yes, that you have studied at the college level or university level outside of the United States, then you're going to have to provide us with transcripts, kind of a separate process. Again, that's kind of very specific. So you want to make sure you answer this correctly. I'm going to put no because I studied in the United States at the college and university level. And again, it doesn't matter where I studied in high school. It's specifically about your college or university work, and this is independent of your domestic and international status. So hope that makes sense. The checklist explains it a little bit more as well. So you also have to acknowledge that you're going to use that transfer application checklist. It says reviewing it now is strongly advised, so you can see that there are those additional expectations to complete your application process besides just submitting this Common App. So once you got all this taken care of, you can go down here and start selecting your major and those kind of things, right? Plenty of options, more than 120 different options that you can choose from. Say landscape, horticulture, and design. Some majors will have additional boxes that populate. For instance, if we choose general engineering, which is a popular option, you can tell us about which engineering discipline that you're interested in, including computer science, which you'll find there in the College of Engineering. So go ahead and put that. Boom. Okay. Different questions about if you're interested in honors consideration or kind of pre-professional certification. Are you attending a Virginia community college? If you say yes, some additional questions will pop up about whether or not you believe you're eligible for guaranteed admission. We're going to review that for everybody, but it's a nice double check for us. Whether you're completing your associate degree and when you'll have that done, and then the overall credits that you'll have completed when you begin at Virginia Tech. This can be an approximation, so it doesn't have to be exact. We know there's some variables that are still in play when you are applying, but how many credits you've got completed and how many you will have completed by the time you start. So that would include your spring work, any summer work that you're potentially going to take. Different information about your family, and then the residency section is really important if you believe that you are entitled to in-state tuition rates. If you say yes, there's going to be a lot of information you got to tell us about you, and depending on how you answer those questions, you may have to list some information about your family as well. So you get through the residency section, which will take you some time getting through that. And then you will get down to the Ut Prosum profile. So these are the personal statements that you write for Virginia Tech. There are 4 required statements. They are 700 characters, which is about 120 words each. You are kind of expected to answer these and follow along closely with the prompts. And my best advice for these is be genuine. Don't overthink them. Spend some time with them. They are important and scored by multiple members of the Virginia Tech community. So do a good job here with responding genuinely to the prompts. But this is kind of one of the last sections. The final section is going to be the community standards. So you just tell us about any disciplinary issues that you may have had, legal or at another institution. If you answer yes, a box will populate that says you have to give us a full explanation. If you do have to tell us about something, more information is typically better than less. So give us the kind of full explanation of what happened, everything like that, and then you'll be able to move forward. Once you get to the bottom and you're done, though, there's no kind of done or submit or return to the top button. You are just finished with those questions. So we can scroll back all the way up to the top, save everything here, so that way you can make sure your answers are saved. And then you're likely done. So everything is fully complete in your personal information, academic history, supporting information, and the program materials section, at least for Virginia Tech. You should be able then to go to submit application. You can see the status of the different applications based on how much information you've entered. Now, I skipped some questions, so it's still showing that I'm not quite complete. But if I answered all of those questions, then I will be able to complete this and submit. So I'd be done. Just hit submit there and go through that process, paying the application fee if that is required, and boom, your Common App is completed. As kind of a final note, I wanted to go back and talk about the specific distinction between studied outside of the United States at the college level. I mentioned that if you have not studied outside of the United States at the college level, as most folks who apply, that would apply to them, you will complete that separate self-reported academic record. But if you say yes, then the transfer application checklist says that you're expected to provide us with transcripts. Now, there are ways you can do that outside of Common App by getting them to our office via email, because we just need unofficial copies. But you can also go to the documents page here. And so you want to make sure you save things. You can upload a document, and then it says international transcripts. Again, those are the college transcripts if you've studied outside of the United States. You can add those right here, so that way they're packaged with your application. So again, that only applies to a small portion of our applicants, but I wanted to express that kind of succinctly as possible. More information about that on the transfer application checklist. So again, this is kind of a very quick walkthrough of completing your application, but as you can see, once you've got these common sections done, you are mostly there for applying to all kinds of different schools, and then you complete the specific questions applicable to that school in the program materials section. Note that for Virginia Tech, one of the additional steps I've been talking about is that self-reported academic record. There are several ways to link that to your Common App, which you'll see on the checklist. One is to use your Common App CAS ID, and I just wanted to point out that that is going to be up here in the top right corner of this dashboard, this CAS ID. So that would be the number that you would use if you want to go through the manual linking process. There's another process described that automatically links it. That's preferred. Check that out. If you have any questions about linking the SRAR and your common application. So that's it. If you have any questions, obviously get in touch with our admissions office. We are happy to help you navigate this process and get your transfer application and supporting materials submitted. So happy applying.